Well, hello. It is a very powerful time, and I wanted to come through and give you a meditation. Hi, Caroline. Nice to see you here. We're under the truth moon, which is all about grounding into your truth, and that it is time to really reassess our relationships in our own lives and explore our own emotional incongruence. And I'm seeing so much of this right now in my client sessions and in conversation with people in the life transformational industry, if you want to call it that, where there's this common theme that we're all dealing with right now. And it is about transformation, personal transformation, and also finding your truth in the next level of shifts that are beyond the transformational journey, that it is all about getting to know your inner truth. And I talk about this a lot. It's about exploring, getting really curious like a child, that we don't know what we don't know until we know it, but that we have to bring in those shadow parts, bring them gently, like a mother would hold a baby, into the light of all that you are, including all of it is calling us back home to your heart, and trusting the journey beyond our relationships with everything, especially around money and sex and business, and that the common denominator is yourself. It's about trusting yourself, trusting your truth, and looking at everything that's sort of going around in the global arena. It is pushing us further away from our truth, because when we're not in our truth, we're much easier to be manipulated. So I'm inviting you in. Hi, Gemma and Michelle and Kathy. So good to have you with me. And please stay with me. I want to speak a lot to this because it was coming through in big transmissions this week, through a lot of animal guides. We had crocodile and we had lion-hearted leadership, and we've had chameleon and bee medicine, really showing us the same message, the amplification of the message of being the leader of our own lives. And give me a hell yes if you're if you're getting what I'm putting down here, because I want to speak to this beautiful invitation that, again, every moon phase, every lunar phase that we have is so in synchronicity to what we're all feeling, and that we need to really speak to this about how are we each going to accept ourselves for who we are and whom we are becoming. And for some of you that are new to me, you might not know that my biggest lesson, and I think a lesson that is shared with so many of my tribe, hi Telling, is to learn how to trust that we're enough. And this has been a lifelong journey for me that I don't have all the answers for. Every day for me is a new opportunity to learn how to overcome this deep yearning, this deep grief that we're all feeling, and that one that often takes me down into a very dark path of depression and a lot of anxiety. So how are you going to align to congruency? It really starts with honesty, and in releasing the judgment of all the parts and pieces of ourselves that are depressed, that are grieving. Thank you, Kathy. I got this sense when I woke up this morning, looking at, how can I be better? How can I contribute more to a world beyond suffering? And I got this image of a bird cage and a bird just spreading its wings and flying free. And is this something that you want? Is it time to move on? And how do we manifest that in these densities of our own physical bodies? And how do we take action and make aligned choices through that internal attunement of being fully embodied? Because if you have suffered any kind of shock and trauma, and we all have on some level, whether that's ancestral or familial or inherited trauma, We come into a world traumatized because we leave the safety of the womb. So truth is different for all of us. What's true for me doesn't have to be true for you, but I want you to really honor that what you see and taste and touch through your five senses, and also your subtle senses, what is going on a cellular level, is yours and yours alone. And it's at this time that we're really being invited to interact with all of it, everything that we've already done, everything that is already passed through us, that it's time to really reassess honestly, truthfully, and look at what is not working for us, what is empty and depleted, and what needs to be let go of. Is it time to redraw your boundaries? And a lot of the people, including my own sister, has for probably the last 3 weeks, and a dear friend of mine this week that came in for a session, lots of solar plexus issues coming up, lots of gut issues happening, because this is about standing in your personal power, honoring your boundaries, where the divine, all that I am, who knows itself as Sarah Jane, as Jemima, as Michelle, as Telling, as Caroline, as Kathy, to know ourselves in a new way, and to learn to live in the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions as Sarah Jane, as you, to stay in your truth. And if you've been having gut stuff like that, let me know in the comments, because this is just another opportunity. It's a marker to let go of what no longer fits you anymore. And I want you to really step into some generative questions. Do some journaling tonight after this Facebook Live. Sit under the new moon, under the full moon. Plant yourself on the earth and draw from her energies of that ancient wisdom to look at, are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling valued? Are you feeling safe? Because, safety is a huge part of it all. And why my work with secure attachment, with healing from trauma, is so important. And now my husband is calling me, so I'm going to just let him go. But he's off fishing in the Zambezi, connecting to the earth and to the water. But isn't that interesting? And I'm speaking of relationships, and in all honesty, I do not have everything in congruency of how I see right relationship as a loving place of being intimate with somebody else. And I've been with my current partner for 12 years, and it's been a very rocky road. My house of relationships is actually in my house of enemies. And this has been showing up more and more over time. And it's something that I'm really sitting with to look at, where am I not feeling safe in this? Because emotional safety is so crucial, isn't it? And in our society, we've been trained and programmed to not be in allowance to see how important emotional safety is. And we turn it into being sensitive. And if you're part of my tribe, you know that you are highly sensitive beings that want to create a better world. And there's a lot of BS of seeing yourself as a sensitive, empathic, emotional person as a liability, that it's actually not feeling safe for you to be an emotional, embodied being. So it's up to us to acknowledge, isn't it, where we are not feeling safe or honored or valued. And money is the same thing. It's feeling the lack and looking at that as an opportunity to ask, do I see money as part of an internal flow, or something that I have to be worthy of? It's something that I have to work hard for. And all the other programming that comes up around money, where I'm really inviting you to look at the truth of money as being the highest form of spiritual congruency that there is, that money is the code of love, because with more resources, we can give a lot more back. So I really feel like it's time. I'm certainly putting myself and immersing myself in that place to look at some of the beliefs and ask some tough questions. You know, don't take things personally. It's a tricky time, but it's simple, but it's not easy. Blending this sort of feminine milkiness and with the clarity of the masculine. And, you know, I brought my beautiful quartz crystal in from bathing in the moonlight for the meditation tonight, because if you have a look at this piece of quartz crystal that I have, this rosy quartz, there's lots of iron deposits in here, lots of raw energy. And I wanted to bring this through for you today as an anchor, as a stake, and to invite you to go after this call and charge your crystals in water under the full moon and use it as an anchor, right? So before we get into the meditation, I want to just talk a little bit about truth. You know, the truth of our lives that's happening right now. There's this transmogrification. It's about morphing. It's about using the alchemy that you came in as your birthright, as an alchemist, to look at this erratic energy and asking, what do you need to ground so that you can know yourself as a being who knows? And also a being that stands in the truth of not knowing certain things. I don't know everything. And that it's okay as cosmic galactic citizens. We're in this beautiful and brutal journey called life, right? We're getting our PhD of life experiences out there in the field. And the only way that we can do that in authentic truth is to understand what is true for each and every one of us. What are you listening to? What are you trusting that is growing you and evolving you and maturing you in a spiritual evolution of sorts, being incarnated in a physical body that has its own gravity, that our cellular memory is morphing alongside with us, and to just give yourself a little bit of space, right? The growing pains, it's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel nervous and to move forward anyway, to let go or look at what you don't want. Because it's your mind that's saying you need to stay in an unhealthy relationship. It's your mind that is telling you what it thinks you need to do to keep you safe. And just because you don't feel confident to leave a relationship, to leave a job that's sucking the life out of you, doesn't mean that you can't do it. And I want you to really get that, to know what's good for you and to look forward with inspiration or motivation. And it only happens a lot of the time, certainly that being my experience, that when I've completed something or I'm in those murky, deep waters where things are still evolving, right? That luminal space where we have to be willing to honor the subtle nudges and question where we want to be, to do a life review. Look at your checks and balances. Ask the big questions to see, is this relationship, is this job, is this way of being sustainable to you? And I know it's discomfort 101, but to really look at, is this enough? Right here and right now, can you continue on this path in the current states of weeks and months and years from now? If you're in the exact same place that you're in now, are you going to be all right with that? Because the body never lies. It's always telling us where we are congruent or not. Emotional safety. I think it does. I think emotional safety exists when we're secure in how we create our own attachment, Tammy. And thank you for asking. It's a great question. And I hope that I'll give you some more clarity as we kind of move into this energy tonight. But if you are a highly sensitive being, and I know you are because you're here, we love, all of us, we love to fall in love with an idea, right? That we see the person's potential. But trust me, you're not dating the potential. You're not dancing with that. You're dancing and you're dating the wounded person. And we have to learn how to let that come through, humans, in a beingness that is often distorted, where we're not being honest with what is in front of us. And we have to be willing to ask, is it working for you? How's it working for you? Is it enough for you? How do you tap into your joy and bring your best game forward and not get the best in return? You have to pay attention to that and ask, is what you are feeding you in return? So get out a paper and a pen after this, or your journal, and ask yourself, be really honest, to look at the various aspects of your life, relationships, money, business, personal. Is it enough? Because it's time to look at if the things that you're feeding, are they feeding you or are they depleting you? Do you have too many energy vampires in your life? And if you're bringing your best, are you getting the best in return? Or is it time to move on? And there's no shame in being terrified of that. I've been terrified of that for the last 13 years of the relationship that I'm currently in. And I'm still here and I'm still doing my best day by day to make it work for me. It's a mark of spiritual maturity to just trust and ask for the things that you don't know yet. And how we can move on without being assholes. Walk away. It's the greatest gift that you can give yourself and others, is to be honest, to be congruent with that, to be called to evoke and ascend, and not take someone else with you that's kind of dragging you down. It's kind of like that image of pots, crabs in a pot. You're doing your best to climb out and evolve and morph and grow, and the old people in your pot are pulling you back down into the water, and you'll get burnt and cooked alive. So be honest with yourself. Get really clear, because you can't pretend what's not working is going to work. Right? Einstein saying you can't expect to get a different result if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's not about blame or fault. It's about congruency. It's about being the center of your experience as the eye of your own storm, as your own power center. So look at, are you building a vision that is yours? Or are you, kind of pouring water into a vessel that's got cracks, and you keep trying to glue up the cracks, but the water keeps pouring out? So allow yourself, give yourself permission to be angry or feel grief or feel betrayed right now. Feel into the parts of you that wish that it could be anything other than what it is right now, because your feelings are always pointing you to which is true. So when you stand in your truth, it amplifies, doesn't it? Give me a hell yes, give me some hearts, give me something. Let me know that you're with me on this, because coming from truth is the most intimate place that you can come from, where the integrity embraces all of you: sadness, happiness, pain, anger, fury, rage, blame, shame, regret, guilt, all of it. It's okay. Congruency is 100% honest and truthful, or it's not. And if you've suffered some kind of trauma or PTSD, honor it. Honor that it's going to take some time. It's a culmination of lots of little baby events, and completion is really about letting go of a little more today. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's no maybe in any of it. And sometimes it's a step forward, it's a step sideways, or it's a step backwards. And maybe it's a step that says, I'm not ready, I'm terrified, and it's okay. Honor that. My dog is digging up the carpet. Rover, what are you doing? Hey, my boy. This is real life. So don't spiritually bypass, honor that honor your values. Ask those important questions. And if you don't know, ask the universe to show you the door. Give you the words to speak to truth and go through it. 1 inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. And that sounds a bit weird because I grew up in a country where it's centimeters and meters, but it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I know that holding your light in the midst of the chaos of personal transformation often feels like keeping a match alight in a hurricane. It's impossible, but you can do it. The embodiment of your fullness is not a passive thing. And so many of us right now are going through this very unsettled, turbulent energy because we're morphing. We're changing our, thank you for the loves and the hearts, Kathy. Hi, Mandy. You know, we're literally are the change that we've been waiting for. And this truth moon is saying, yes, you may be judging yourself or others. Yes, you may be blaming others or yourself. And the energy of the mind is there to sap your joy and give you a slap across the face because you're not standing in your personal power. And that's okay. It's fierce, it's vital, it's eruption of universal forces. But it's all within your reality if you just stand in your truth. To knock down the walls, to shatter the foundations and obliterate all these illusions that were never yours to begin with, right? It's the bad programming of this reality that we're all committed to and nobody knows it. It's the insane asylum of life. But in that insanity, there is truth. If you trust that that is what it is. In those moments, especially, not when it's going good, but when you are brought to your knees and you are stripped of all the artificial realities and illusions that you've bought as true or you're trying to buy as true that are actually just lies. So just trust that the journey of embodiment will take you away from everything that you know. You won't have to give up everything, but you must be willing to give up everything. So take a breath and just let that sink in, because I know it's a big word. There's nowhere to hide in that. And it's time to own it and pull back from blame and shame and judgment and regret and guilt and projection and expectation. And it doesn't mean that you won't have a point of view about it. We're all going through a huge life change, and perhaps you don't know exactly where you are going, and that's okay. That's why I show up and I do these Facebook Lives, because I want you to trust in yourself, to be your own medicine, to know that who you are becoming is your birthright. You came in knowing that you had a big, big part to play in our human evolution, in the collective consciousness of that. And it doesn't happen unless you trust in your own knowing. It doesn't happen unless you make time. You keep your own appointments for your spiritual connection every single day. It's training days. It's not about information. It's about applying the things that you are learning. So hand over heart. Connect with your soul's wisdom right now and just push pause so that you can connect with your soul's inner wisdom. Hear what is available when you listen and you stop speaking. Because embodying your essence requires impeccable trust in trusting in your truth. And your true self is unyielding in its requirement that you be vulnerable and honest and real. Because you know, just like I do, that we are going to be plunged over and over into the crucible of fire to ensure that what you claim is authentic. All else is going to be burnt away. In fact, it's not even dying, it is dead already. And to the ego mind, it feels like death, because it is. And you will die if you haven't already. And I know you have, because you're here 1,000 times over on the journey back to you. This is what it means to be human. The whole process is intended to purify us, cleanse, clear, and purify day by day, minute by minute. And it takes a whole lot of pressure to make a diamond, doesn't it? Gold can only be refined through terrific heat. And the emergence of your true self has nothing to do with appeasing the ego. This journey is not about satisfying those transient needs, the quick fixes, looking for the magic pill of the personality. This is a complete and total reorientation of who and what you know yourself to be. And the descent of all that you are, as it focuses, it's entirely through your human vessel, being embodied. It's not easy. It's a colossal undertaking, and I know you get that. Give me a heart, give me a yes, if you get what I'm putting down. If you're feeling breathless right now, where you're being shaken to your core, because you know and you trust that your limited self has no choice but to capitulate. So there will be pushback. There has been this entire year. And on the other side of that destruction of your former life, you know already that the version of you that is transparent, that is authentic, that is vulnerable, is crystalline and clear. It always has been. But you're kind of like this beautiful piece of quartz crystal, right? You still have occlusions. You still have shadow. You still have murkiness in there. But the you that steps out of that fiery baptismal vessel has always been shining like the sun. Just because there are clouds doesn't mean that the sun, you cannot receive the sun because you can't see it. The sun is still shining. And it glows just like you do, with clarity that's unmatched, that is fearless and strong, with roots that stretch to the core of creation, right down to the golden molten lava core of the earth and right up to the galactic confederations above. And it's between you and you. That's the truth of this moon. And only when you know what truth feels like, because you take on the responsibility of going there and acknowledging that, that's where you uncover it. And it doesn't matter what tools you use. Each of us learns how to use on our journey, are all leading us in the same way, to trust, to congruency, to kindness, to compassion, to vulnerability, to truth, to love fully, to trust fully. They're all the foundation of the age of embodiment. And these are the markers of authentic power. They are in your DNA. They're in your divine cellular blueprint. And they are the currency of the new earth, because you are part of that currency. So what do you need right now when you think of that you as this caged bird in a prison of your own making, that you have the lock and the key and you choose to take flight? You set yourself free beyond judgment and the lies of limitation. And that's really what this full moon is shaking us up, because it's conjunct full moon in Taurus. My north node is in Taurus. It's always a good idea to find out, where is your north node and your south node. South node is karmic. It's the experiences that you have already experienced. North node is your true north. It's where you are going because you're incarnated to go there. And right now it's exactly conjunct with Uranus. What is Uranus? It's the great awakener. Eyes wide open, disrupting everything. Are you willing to be your greatest disruptor of your old lies and limitation? Because Uranus is the planet of change and revolution and liberation. It's that bolt of lightning in the dark that brings illumination. And you know something has to change, because the old ways are dead. The old ways of doing things are not sustainable. And that thing that has to change is exactly that thing that you believe to be immune to change. That's where the trust comes in your truth telling. It's an electrical storm, and you are at the center of that storm. It's a storm of your own making. that is allowing you to transmute and transform those natural laws, opening up to celestial opportunities. So just imagine a cow peacefully grazing on a meadow, and suddenly a storm breaks out and the sky is falling. That's Uranus. Suddenly she sees that there is more to life than the meadow. And her world will never be the same again, same as you. It's awakening. The planetary alignments right now with the moon are awakening. Uranus is awakening us to that part of us that we thought was inert, immovable, unchangeable. Your anus, right? Let the stuff that you no longer need, the shit that you don't need anymore, to fall through, right? Your anus. Excuse the imagery of that, but that's exactly what it is. That's why we're all having so much gut issue coming up, because the solar plexus, which is where your truth resides, is saying, let go of the stuff you don't need anymore. Turn it into fertilizer. Hi, Tara. Kathy, good to have you here. So does it make sense? We're wired naturally to avoid change, to believe that it's bad for us. But the truth is that in the higher laws of the universe, whatever happens, happens. It's always in our highest, greatest good, even in the disruptive patterns, right? The chaos theory is part of one of the natural laws. It grows us, because when we are inert, when we are in our comfort zone that is actually not comfortable, gets shaken awake. And I get it. It's terrifying. I've been feeling that more and more. The powerlessness that is in our lives. It's frustrating to see that the same roadblocks keep coming up over and over again. It's that Mobius strip. We're going over and over, and we have no clue how to break through them. And that sense of defeat that rises up when you genuinely want to make change in your life. What you're committed to, right? Remember, what you are committed to is what grows. So you can choose to go down the down the rabbit hole, or you can choose to go down the rabbit hole and find the gifts and then rise up. Trust me, I've been there a million times. In that place of defeat that rises up when you are committed to change, but you're trapped by the uncertainty and the fear and the doubt. It's insurmountable. It's terrifying. But you've done it before, as have I, and we'll do it again, because there is this version of you that is always healthy and balanced and thriving, even in those moments of fear and pain that feels like you're never gonna heal from it. Trust that version of you is always being whole and healed and complete. And just understand that your relationship with this version of yourself under this truth moon requires you to get honest and vulnerable and real. We have to demand that and hold ourselves accountable and get support and claim it and put your stake in the ground. Yeah, I love it. There's a saying that Buddha said that he wouldn't be teaching this path of awakening if genuine happiness and freedom wasn't possible. You know that already. You know that is your potential. But we know, each and every one of us come from deep conditioning, deep programming, deep patterns of disharmony, patterns of abuse, where we get stuck in fear and the feelings that we're not enough, that there's a deficiency, that there's a separation there because we don't feel worthy of love. And that we have to look at a new dialogue where there are two interdependent pathways of undoing the conditioning, unlearning what's blocking our potential. So I'll leave it at that, but just know that in order for lasting positive change to occur, you have to uncover your truth. And it takes a brave heart to do that. Only you know what truth feels like for you. No one else can tell you what that is. And in order to live in life that feels authentic and expansive, you're the only one that can cultivate a connection to the truth, that is yours, because there's a difference between what's true and what is true for you. But the good news is that even if right now you don't have any clue what that truth is, you can still find it. And I know from firsthand experience, because I've been here many times, how scary it is to begin the journey of self-discovery. But you don't have to make that journey alone. I'm here to walk and work with you. Hi, Helga, Vivian, Elsa, you're just in time. So I've been going over half an hour right now. So thank you for staying with me, because, you know, this is the urgency. And it's also the agency of why I get up every single day, because this is bigger than me. You are what makes me get up every day. The things that matter and motivate me most are my longing for a world where all species are treated with kind regard, where there is mutual cooperation, mindful regard, authenticity, transparency. And I know that I couldn't do it if you weren't here with me. So thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for standing in your truth. Even if you don't know what your truth is right now, that's the truth. Trust that. And I'm going to try and find some music, or maybe I won't. Maybe we'll just do this without the music. Yeah, I think so. So I invite you to just stop what you're doing right now. Put your hand on your heart and cross your hands, your arms and your legs, just so that you have an even flow of energy up and down your divine line, up and down your spine, and just close your eyes. And if you have a crystal, you can hold that right now. Thank you, Vivian. So just stop, push pause on the world, and just take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, relaxing your shoulders, breathing down deep into your belly of creation. Just taking another deep breath in. Inhaling love and trust and truth, exhaling everything that doesn't allow you to be that, just centering yourself, grounding yourself to Mother Earth, following your body's natural impulses to just get comfortable right now as we take another deep breath in. And out through your mouth. Good. And just using your divine imagination, the power of source and soul, to just journey wherever you desire to go right now, using your imagination now to paint a picture all around you of your beloved one entering the most magnificent cave of wandering. And that heroine's journey, see yourself at the entrance of this cave. And know that there's nothing to fear here. It's very welcoming, very warming, inviting you into this cave of wanderings, of illumination. And in your left hand right now, you're also holding a beautiful quartz crystal like this one. Just holding this in your left hand, imagine the real. Walk into the cave, and as you do, it lights up and it shines and shows you the way forward. And you can wave this beautiful light in front of you and see how the entire cave lights up as you look around and see that you're in a cave of the most magnificent crystalline grid. Crystals sparkling like jewels, different colors, different frequencies, but all of it is there to change and morph as your will desires right now. And feel the excitement build in your body as we go into this adventure together, stepping forward, each of us in our own space, on our own journey, but united in this collective wandering for better. And as it gets quieter and quieter with each step that you take, that this sound becomes denser and more absolved. It's as if you are in this beautiful chamber of light and sound where you can hear souls that have walked this path before you, human, animal, inanimate, following the heartbeat. Listen to your heartbeat as you move further into the cave, and the core of the cave is calling you now, and you know exactly where to move to. Just allow yourself to follow your body's impulse right now. Perhaps you're barefoot, feeling the coolness of the dampness of the cave beneath your feet, energizing, uplifting, powering you up through this electrical divine line within you. And as you keep moving forth, allow your crystal to guide you deeper into the central chamber of this cave. And as you go there, there's this magnificent light that is Divine Mother, the full moon at the center of this cage of wanderings of your own making. And as you move forward, bathed in this beautiful moonlight of the truth moon, it welcomes you and it bathes you in its luminosity, in its frequency of love and light. And it's divine, alive, sparkling light, dancing, bouncing off the sides of the cave. And it's your light that merges with the light of the full moon. And you feel every cell of your being accelerate, amplify, fill you up with the light of your own being, merging with the light of this maternal, mothering truth moon in full expression of yourself. And in this space, you notice there's no heaviness, there's no judgment, there's no thought. Time collapses and you are in this infinite space of all being, all knowing, infinite oneness as and of you. Allow yourself to receive this now. Be here as the light within you, the God Goddess within you, the God particle of light. Just experience this infinity now. Become one with the light. Good. Stay there as you recalibrate at the very core of your cellular structure. Allow yourself to be recharged, revitalized, lifted up as you recognize and acknowledge there's nothing to do, there's nothing to think about, there's nothing to concern yourself about. Just be in this space of the divine light and love of the truth that is and always has been you. Lighthouse that you be, that brings forth trust and brings forth now a divinely guided message deeply grounded in your truth. Can you just listen? Listen now, trusting that everything that you need to download will be revealed to you in divine timing. And notice there's no more fracturing, there's no more separation as you unite the core of your being with the light of awareness. As you bring your light and love glowing behind your eyes, underneath your skin, up and down your spine, conducting, emanating, transmitting the frequency of divine, infinite light, love, truth, trust, Allow that to permeate your cells now as you breathe in deeply, dear ones. And with each breath, sending that light out into the shade, the dark, the shadows. And so it is, this beautiful recalibration of your divine blueprint, your diamond light, your DNA, LNA, RNA, your own genetic code, lighting, aligning, lifting you up. And when you are ready, opening your eyes as you give thanks and ceremony and great reverence for what this cave of crystals has gifted to you tonight. And allow your own crystal to be the lighthouse, the torch that guides you back to the entrance of your cave. And before you leave your cave, place your crystal down on the ground, connecting you back deeply rooted with the earth, with the great central molten lava core of your infinite beingness, uniting with the infinite beingness of the divine God, goddess energy within, with the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and orient yourself back into your body, into the room that you're sitting in, knowing that you are safe, protected, and guided, bringing your hands over your heart, together, united in this space of great illumination of truth, breathing in light and love, releasing anything that isn't, and release anything that's no longer serving you. Give it back to the earth for recycling, because she knows exactly what to do with it. By breathing in love and light. And when you're ready, give your hands a rub and a shake, eyes wide open, to dream into being your truth, trusting that you are connected, transformed, transmuted with all that is, and thanking that everything that loves you speaks through you and as you, as the perfect journey comes forward for you right now, as we have just done together. No words, no thoughts, just being in oneness and contribution with the light. And I invite you, as you go about your day or your night, to come back in and practice over the next few days, because I think this is a really important time. So don't get sidetracked. I know how easy it is to be distracted. Just trust there's no judgment, there's no blame or allowing. There's just this demand that you are holding yourself accountable in this loving space of personal transformation, and that you have the wisdom that you know right now to go forth and create a better world, that you are loved, that you are light, and you are so supported. And I see you, I honor you, and I thank you for braving the wilderness and walking hand in hand with me as the visioneers, as the light workers, as the illuminators, as the truth tellers, that we are dreaming into being a world that is sustainable. And I will meet you there. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Vivian. Go spend some time under the full moon. I'm certainly going to do that later. Make sure you bathe your crystals in that loving light. Make sure that you leave an offering for Great Mother Moon to receive as you are receiving from her, that we can amplify this beautiful harmonic state of loving into being a world that is so deeply looking for you. as we grieve at the state that the world is in, and the state perhaps of our own lives, and where we have much work to do. And I will meet you there. I love you. Until later.